Well, this is not the first time that Trump has suggested ramping it up to the full amount of imports from China into the United States. Usually when he makes those kinds of suggestions, he wants to follow through, or he seems to follow through. So it would not be unexpected if you saw the full amount having tariffs on them, and apparently USTR has already got the list. I mean, it's not difficult to make the list, you know what they are, but they've already thought through, at least in principle, the line items and the tariff numbers and so forth, so they're ready apparently to do so. The economic consequences would be significant, and particularly the economic consequences for consumer goods, because up until now, most of the products on the first list, 50 billion, and the second list, 200 billion, have not directly hit consumer goods. But when you move to the full list, now you're talking about textiles, apparel, footwear, etc. Those are things that customers buy every day, and those would be much more directly obvious to customers. So
here's a question, Deb, for you, because Rob and I were talking about exactly this. Whether or not we are going to see higher sticker prices, inflation, et cetera, whether the higher costs are going to get passed on to consumers. Given the kind of shape the U.S. economy is in, which is very strong, and how corporate earnings have been running, which is also very strong, you could potentially make a case for a lot of these companies saying, that's okay. We'll absorb that cost and let consumers off the hook. How likely do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of companies are trying to do the math right now, and they're trying to figure out how long can we sustain a 25% increase. And for some companies, the answer is indefinitely, because especially if the profit margins are high enough, you could do that. But for many products, particularly in the textile and apparel categories, for example, especially low end, the profit margins are so small that you cannot absorb a 25% hit to your bottom line. That's just impossible. And so something has to give. Either you cancel orders, you reduce inventory, you pass those costs along in whole or in part. But at some point, consumers are going to pay more. And that's the question is, of course, when? How soon will you see that in shops? In some product categories, you're seeing them already. In some product categories, it will take some time to trickle through. And it's a question of timing. How long will it take before consumers, especially in the United States, see that? I think it will be delayed. It will not be before the midterms on most products. It will be after the midterms, and that's the tricky one.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.